Hi, and welcome to the Graveyardmedia podcast, episode 11 for the week of September 25th. I'm your co-host, Saine. With me is Dalsson.
That's me. Here
Thel.
I am in the flesh.
1 week left, guys. Get fucking ready. Are you excited? I'm excited. It's gonna be good.
No idea what he's talking about.
1 week until what?
You all know what the fuck about to happen.
Oh, Halloween or October.
You're goddamn
Halloween.
fucking right.
Yeah.
Right
Halloween.
the first time.
Right
Halloween
the first
for a
time.
month, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna start off with some games and movies we've played and seen this week, then move on to what little gaming and movie news there is, and that's about it.
Alright, so who started last time? I'm pretty sure it was me, so why doesn't Thel start this time?
Okay. Well, actually, I know I didn't start last time because I tried to pawn it off on someone last time, but I did actually see a couple things. Well, like one thing this week that you guys didn't. Well, first off, I've been playing a lot in the air, playing a lot of Guild Wars. Same with you. I'll save that till we get to that. Yeah. Did finish off BoJack Horseman. Let's start first. Saying I did hear like all of your complaints about all of the characters' sort of side stories keep taking away from BoJack and his relationship with Hollyhock.
Right.
And I do agree, especially for like Mr. Peanut Butter. I feel like there was like a whole episode in there that was really
That was you know the one he's talking about too. You
yeah,
said the same
it
thing.
was just like okay, this episode is fun and there's a bunch of funny stuff happening, but I do feel like they could be focusing on other things.
Yeah. I think
yeah.
it was Underground, and the whole the only thing to come out of that entire episode was a small conversation Diane and BoJack had.
Yeah.
The only thing
And
that was kept.
And that
and
was the
and
most
I
interesting
guess
part of the episode too.
I guess
Oh,
their
and also-
house.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
that's not like impactful as far as BoJack's concerned.
Yeah, and I did like Zach Braff did really good. And it was
Yeah,
his best role.
okay,
it was
the
funny
the
playing
first-
himself.
When I watched it with
Yeah.
you, saying I didn't like connect Zach Braff, the character in BoJack, with Zach Braff.
JD.
Like,
I'm not sure why you didn't, because
But the second time, as soon as I was like Zach Braff, oh yeah, that's JD. Oh, okay, this is funny. And then there was like the monologue he gave. I was like, oh my god, they're actually playing music from Scrubs.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great. And for those of you uninitiated with the BoJack, it was basically just a bottle episode. And I did feel like that took away from it. But I really liked everyone else's side stories. I liked where Todd went. He got a whole episode to himself where he did a bunch of wacky bullshit and learned about himself.
Well, even that he was helping Princess Carolyn, so they crossed over a little bit. That was probably the most crossover between any of like the stories, though.
Yeah, because he was doing stuff with Mr. Peanut Butter, and then was doing stuff with Princess Carolyn, and just running around between places. That was really nice. I really, really liked Princess Carolyn and all of her stuff that she did.
I liked the Todd episode.
Yeah,
that was pretty funny.
You mean Hooray Todd episode?
Hooray Todd episode.
Hooray Todd episode. Yeah.
But my favorite episode was episode 6, I believe. Maybe it was
you're
8.
a stupid piece of shit.
Yeah. Oh, it was such a good episode.
That's the name of the episode, by the way, folks. That was not calling Saine a piece of shit.
Yeah. No, saying you're a stupid piece of shit. The best episode was Blend.
That was also a very good episode, but I really liked Stupid Piece of Shit because it really kind of went into some of the headspace that people deal with when they have like depression or self-esteem issues. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and not only that, I enjoyed that one a lot too. For that exact reason, and also because like the two different styles of animation, like going into his headspace.
Yeah,
and
it was so good.
It was really good. I loved it.
They even used that animation again a little bit later on. Like,
yeah.
He wasn't like internally monologuing, but they used it again when he was explaining something.
Yeah, and they used this really cool music. It was just like a clip of the music kind of on repeat, but I looked up the song for that episode and it's really good.
Yeah. But yeah, BoJack Horseman, generally not divisive in this group. It's just fucking good, and you should watch. It's just fucking really good.
I have heard the biggest complaint that I have heard about the show is it makes people depressed. So some people have trouble watching it because they can't
imagine.
They can't even get into how like depressing the show gets. Like people talk about falling off just after it starts to get dark. Like in season 1, and it's like, really?
No, and that's the weirdest goddamn thing for me. Just because, well, I mean, I eat this shit up. Well, like when it started getting dark for me, it's like, and where I feel like a lot of people, it started getting dark, and then people were like, show's pretty good.
Yeah.
This episode where he stands up and asks Diane if he's a good person, this is kind of fucked up. I'm kind of liking it. Yeah, and I understand. Like if you're coming off fresh off Family Guy, you might not be, but then again, I can't even like say that anymore because like no one is. We have the internet now.
What's kind of funny about that show is the people that I like. I mean, I guess it's not that weird, but the people that I know that really, really like it tend to be people who do struggle with depression and that sort of thing. And the people that I hear like absolutely don't like it are the ones who don't really deal with depression and don't want to look at that because it makes them feel bad even though they don't even deal with that. It's like the Mr. Peanut Butters of the world can't watch it.
So what you're saying is, like... so what you're saying, you'll really get a lot out of BoJack Horseman if you were a Zoe, not if you're a Zelda.
Thel will not shut up about that ever since he saw that episode, even outside of BoJack. Just not. Won't stop.
Yeah, they continue that running joke like pretty late too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought the season, what is it, 4? The last season of BoJack definitely had like
latest season 5.
I feel like it had some of the highest high points and the lowest low points. Not in terms of like on an emotional like level, but like on a quality level. I thought some of like there are a couple episodes that just straight up didn't need to be in it.
Yeah.
Which is weird because in the other seasons of BoJack, I totally don't feel that way.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
I don't know, the episodes that like really didn't need to be there though were like they were still entertaining.
Yeah.
They just kind of took away from the rest of the.
But like episode 1 did not even feature BoJack.
Yeah.
Kind of didn't need to be there. I mean, it sort of dealt with it set up Mr. Peanut Butter stuff, but I feel like they could have done it differently and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
I thought the Todd episode was good, but Underground was also like it just felt like filler. It was weird.
Yeah. And I do definitely agree. Like I feel like this is, especially after season 2 and season 3, I felt like this one was kind of weak. Like again, like I loved all of the stuff with Princess Carolyn. Her plot in this was fucking great.
She probably had the most interesting outside of BoJack's
BoJack.
Sure. Especially since hers felt more developed somehow.
Yeah.
Except for, there's a character arc that I don't want to spoil that also gets a lot of time, but that felt good. That character was getting time.
Is it a character that you don't? It's like a straight up a character that you don't want to spoil, or? I know.
The character arc I don't want to spoil.
Yeah.
Because it's a character that you wouldn't expect to get an arc.
Right. It's the character from the episode that
That's all we have to say.
Yeah. Well, and I know we don't like to get political on this show.
Oh no.
But
it's hard to avoid with BoJack though.
Well, I don't know. I feel like it's pretty easy to avoid with BoJack.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of political stuff in BoJack.
Everything's
a little bit in the first episode, but
yeah. But one thing that I really did like, and I'm going to spoil a little bit. I'm not going to say who, but there is an asexual character that shows up and ends up being asexual. And when I found that out, it was just I was super happy. It didn't feel like it was shoehorned in. It felt natural, and it worked really, really well. I hope more shows do that.
The weird thing about it, though, is they almost didn't focus on that.
Yeah, they
that
didn't.
much.
Yeah, which is like how it would.
No, but I mean, in terms of how that character reacts to it, doesn't feel like they really go that deep into it.
Yeah.
So while I like that there's representation, the way they built it into his arc didn't feel that impactful either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I feel like that's just sort of because
because of
it wasn't super impactful to his arc, but it was more him just like realizing that's just who he is and has been. It's just sort of like like the character himself like talks about he doesn't like to label things in the episode that it's like he figuring it out, and then he just figures out that is a label and that's like all it is. Like that's just who he's been this entire time, and it's it's really neat. I kind of loved it.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty good, and especially since
legitimately thought that was really cool too. Like
And most people I've heard say that they were really into it, especially because it felt very organic for that character.
Yeah, it was like really natural. Yeah. It wasn't like suddenly this guy's a non-normative something blah blah blah.
It felt like they dropped like hints about that throughout the whole series, and then at the end, this last season kind of culminated it a little bit. But it didn't feel like I don't know. For as much as that character is in the show, I felt like they could have done something more with it than what they did. I don't know.
I can see that. Yeah.
Because most of his arc wasn't even about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not that it needs to be focused per se, but like, I don't know. His arc was kind of a tangent in that season.
Yeah. I feel like the more we talk about this, the more obvious it is who's.
But whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, you would know if you watched to the end of season 3 of BoJack, so...
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway.
I actually have also been watching another show that wasn't BoJack. Because of the fact that Star Trek Discovery had just had its first episode, I instead decided to watch American Gods. If you don't know what American Gods... Yeah, American Gods is Brian Fuller's project, the project that he was going to work on in tandem with Star Trek Discovery, but here's the thing. I did look up on IMDb, like, the last episode, or the episode before, and it was being created by Brian Fuller and, Alex Kurtzman. Alex Kurtzman being the guy who did the old Star Trek movies. New Star Trek movies, sorry, I fucked that up and made you think it was good. The J.J. Abrams Trek movies.
Well, they were okay.
Oh, yeah, they were okay because of J.J. Abrams. The rest of everything Alex Kurtzman has written has been trash, including Transformers 2
didn't he write the third one?
No, he didn't. He had nothing to do with it.
Okay, then, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the first one was good, and the third one was good, but the second one was bad.
yeah, that's pretty much it. So anyway, he's the one who's doing it now. I learned that Brian Fuller actually straight up fucking left the project, like, and then they hired Alex Kurtzman on. I was making jokes with Appledan, a friend of ours, who was just going back and forth about this shit and making up like, oh yeah, fucking Alex Kurtzman is a piece of shit, and Brian Fuller doesn't even care. It's not really his project. And then I looked it up, and it's like, oh, Brian Fuller just straight up left. Never mind. Yeah, he's not. So I watched American Gods instead, and it really, really, really does drive home exactly what we fucking lost. Because visually, American Gods is really fucking good.
So I forget, is American Gods based on a book or a graphic novel?
Neil Gaiman book.
Okay.
But yeah, I can see how you would get confused, because Neil Gaiman also does, like, he did Sandman and stuff, so yeah.
Right, so from what I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I don't want to distract from American Gods, you can go back into
go right
it,
ahead.
But, speaking of Star Trek and Family Guy, The Orville came out recently, which is that Seth MacFarlane thing. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard pretty mixed reviews on it.
Most of what I've heard is, holy shit, Orville's actually better than the new fucking Star
Yeah, the
Trek.
funny thing that I've heard about Orville is that all of the advertisements for it, and the fact that Seth MacFarlane is like the lead in it, makes you think it's gonna be a comedy, and it's not. and everybody thought it was gonna be a comedy, and so all of the people who reviewed it walked into that series thinking it was a comedy, and it's totally not. It's like Star Trek, but all of the characters are a lot more like flawed and fucked up. And kind of like just everybody's instead of kind of top of their class, you know, specialist people. They're all just kind of like average Joes going to work, and they kind of hate their jobs.
Well, Seth MacFarlane kind of like wants to do serious stuff, but he's never gotten to
Well, I don't care what he wants to do. He's like
I mean
I don't care what he wants to do. But like Seth MacFarlane carries this thing. It doesn't matter what he wants to do. He always carries this thing. It's kind of like to kind of a more extreme extreme, I don't know, version of like Chris Pratt. Whereas Chris Pratt will always be funny. No matter what he does, like he's starring in major action films and stuff, he's always going to be funny. So like even in like Jurassic World and stuff, he like, I don't know, he has this weird goofy thing about him. Yeah. So
and he's very charismatic and can fucking carry that shit.
Right.
He is good at funny.
And so with Seth MacFarlane, it seems like he's been doing a very specific thing for so long that even if he wants to do more serious stuff, you kind of expect him to not, because everything you've seen about him is not serious. So
well, what I was trying to say was because he wants to do serious things and he doesn't ever have the opportunity except when he shoehorns serious stuff into his unfunny comedies. Maybe he does a better job when he's in a serious role because that's what he wants to do. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Or
I'll watch it because I want to watch it and the new Star Trek, because I heard the new Star Trek is okay or good.
That's what I kept reading, which is weird because that defies all expectations.
Yeah, because we were all going into that like at first we were kind of like cautiously optimistic. And then we probably ended on
and then it just kind of tagged from there.
Yeah, and like when I heard it was a Brian Fuller Star Trek show, I was all like, "Oh fuck, this is gonna be the best thing ever! I am hyped." And and
then it wasn't.
Fuller left.
So
and then Brian Fuller left.
I mean, maybe enough of his influence carries over that it's still good. I don't know.
Maybe.
I heard that the main character was like a lot less bad than everyone expected. I don't know. So I think I'm gonna watch the two of them this week and kind of compare and contrast them to see how I feel about both of them.
I mean, I don't care if it's the best thing since sliced bread. I don't think it's gonna come close to the next generation.
I mean, but nothing has, so I mean,
nothing has.
Except arguably Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
But even then, a lot of people still prefer Next Generation. So like, you can't. That's not a fair comparison, though. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. I feel like it could be. I feel like if it had Brian Fuller, it could be really, really good. I feel like it could reach that height, but
I don't know, because Next Generation kind of hit this weird, I don't know, like air lane. It kind of fell into this perfect spot and then just kind of got shot forward. You know what I mean? And even Next Generation, the first season of it is bad.
Yeah.
I mean, bad or like
relatively
decent,
anyway.
Right?
Yeah,
at the very it's not great.
It's like not great for Star Trek, pretty decent for most things.
Well, even then.
Yeah, not great for the Next Generation.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess
either way. Either way, like it's so. We'll see. But I mean, like, saying it's not going to compare to Next Generation, a lot of that comes with nostalgia. A lot of that comes with just impact of where it was socially at the time. Mm-hmm. And it's, I don't know, it's like a classic. It's like comparing every movie to like Citizen Kane or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah,
Or insert, whatever famous film you want.
Yeah. Like, so I'm looking at the Orville like on IMDb, and I was wondering because like, oh yeah, a lot of people are thinking it was good. So in my mind, I thought, oh okay, in that case, Seth MacFarlane might just be fucking acting in it and have nothing to do with. No, he created it.
Really?
This is his show. Yeah, this is very
created
much
it,
his
yeah.
show. Huh.
Yeah, so I don't know.
And I don't know. I don't gotta. I'm getting a pretty bad vibe from the IMDb page just because the first review here is the title is "Don't listen to the professional critics."
Well, that's the thing, though. If it has one of the largest divides between audience score and critic scores like ever. Like, critic scores really hate it because they thought it was a comedy. And audience actually really likes it because it's kind of like kind of a average Joe version of Star Trek. So, average Joe in the sense the characters are kind of just normal people.
Average Joes, yeah.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, I'll have to watch it and see how I feel about it, but I heard that there was a lot of divide even within it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Either way.
But yeah. Anyway, back to American Gods.
Yeah, sorry to tangent off that so hard.
No, it's fine. That's legitimately why I brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we do.
Yeah, American Gods is I've only seen like a little bit about halfway through it, and maybe it tangents off, but it's basically like just the book in movie form or like TV form. It's a little bit slower than the book. I think I read like the book in like half as many hours as the show goes, like for the first season, and I don't think that it's going to get to the end of the book at the first season. Yeah, and yeah, it's beautiful. It's Brian Fuller straight off of Hannibal when he was fucking with all of those network execs on network TV, and that's actually exactly why he was like why he left the new Star Trek was because like one of the people who fucked him over on Hannibal came over to this network and started fucking him over on Star Trek, and he was just like, yeah, I'm done. And
what an ass.
Visually, it's beautiful. Again, story-wise, it's a Neil Gaiman story, and it follows pretty closely, so of course it's really fun to watch.
I heard his audiobooks are really good too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I forget who narrates them, but
yeah, I don't know.
Odin himself.
But yeah, it's really good. I want to get Dalsson watching it just because of the fact that like one of the chief characters is Odin. Like the second main character of the show is just straight up fucking Odin.
So is it primarily Norse gods?
Or no, it's all of them.
Okay.
It's all of the gods, all of them, everyone.
Even
some of the
even like Abrahamic religions.
Oh yeah. Well, they mention Abrahamic religion specifically. They have this whole conversation about, there's a ton of Jesuses around. You got
there's a ton of Jesuses around.
You got your Spanish Jesus. You got your black Jesus. You got your big shiny white blonde Jesus. You got your Mexican Jesus, who also came in illegally. It's like they have this whole conversation. They have these whole conversations about all of these different gods because the gods are created through belief, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you believe in the god comes to life and dies if you stop believing in them. So yeah, you got like Anubis, Anansi, an African spider god, Odin.
Only about half of the Egyptian gods because only about half of people remember them.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
So wait. You said that they die if people stop believing in them, but there are
Let me tell
lots
you,
of dilapidated religions.
Let me tell you, there are a lot of weird people who still believe in Thor.
Yeah,
I've met them in person.
Well, yeah, and it's not even just belief. Belief like empowers them. It's also memory. Like if you remember the gods, they still exist.
Yeah.
So as long as people remember that they were worshipped at one time, at least.
So in a weird kind of sense, like that means some of the Norse gods are probably even more like powerful than they were in the time of their age, right? Because because of the internet, everybody knows about like everything about the Norse gods now.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, like for instance, in the book I remember. Oh wait, no, hold on. Yeah, no, Thor isn't doing super good. I forgot about that. No spoilers, but I remember what they said in the book about Thor. Oof, that did not go good for him. I'm gonna link just you guys some images. Maybe Saine can throw them up in the recording, maybe not. I don't know.
I can do that.
Just a couple of images. This is a gallery of images that I personally have screenshotted from American Gods. These are from the first 3 episodes, and this is what the new Star Trek series is missing.
Does it have like really minor gods from like really abstract religions like Kromkruik?
I don't know if they have any Celtic gods.
That guy has no face.
I don't remember
Celtic gods.
I don't remember any Celtic gods, but they do have like an Ifrit. Like specifically, that's one of the images right there.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
CG / I don't know.
Yeah.
Design is good.
Ifrit. They have Ifrit, but no Glass Gablian. What the hell?
Yeah.
This is the guy who plays Leonidas, right?
Kind of looks like him. Who is that?
Wait, which one?
I mean,
the first one.
The first one? Red. No, that's just an Ifrit. This is that is an image from the gay Muslim sex scene, and that's what me and Appledan were joking about. We're pretty sure like people would be going up to Alex Kurtzman like, hey, maybe we could have like, you know, because Star Trek has always been really, really inclusive. We could have like maybe a trans person or possibly a like a Muslim with like a Star Trek hijab or something. Like I feel like that. I don't know. We're trying to bank our new streaming service off this. I'll have to ask NBC. We'll see what they say, but like for now, it's gonna be a no for me. And then he goes over to Brian Fuller like, well, we could have like, you know, maybe a Muslim somewhere in there. Yeah, we already have the gay Muslim sex scene. What show are you talking about? Star Trek. Oh yeah, that I don't even fucking know what we're doing with that. That's more Alex's thing. You can talk to him about it. I don't fucking care.
It's more Alex's thing. Talk to him about it.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. This show is very good.
Actually, I don't actually. Never mind. I don't want to talk about it.
There is so yeah. It's very much a Brian Fuller show. It's Brian Fuller allowed to do whatever the hell he wants. So straight up full frontal gay sex scene.
And they threw him off a building. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, something like that. Also, vaginal vor. If you're into that, watch American Gods.
Unbirthing.
I mean that makes sense.
Yes.
That makes perfect sense with the way that some gods are.
So anyway, yeah, exactly. Before we talk about that, let's just
before we get in real deep.
Let's move to something else then, shall we?
Yeah. Anything else to touch on, though?
About American Gods? No, it's pretty much good. You should pretty much watch it.
No, I mean any other show.
Haven't really watched any other shows, no.
Yeah. So I saw Kingsman.
Okay.
Golden Circle.
Okay.
I've
heard it's been like really, really. People have said it like I really love the first one, but the second one.
I think it's kind of divisive because here's the thing. It's not a bad movie by any means. So it actually has a pretty low Rotten Tomato score. I think it's at like 50 something.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Here's the thing. It's definitely like a sequel. It has a lot of the same style and flavor as the first Kingsman, but it doesn't have the set pieces the same way. Like there were at least 2 points that were like really memorable from the first Kingsman. There was the scene in the church, and then there was the scene at the end, basically, when they succeed. And those were 2 like super defining moments of that movie that like if you remember nothing else about the movie, you probably remember those scenes, right?
Yeah.
The new one, while it has some like really good chases, really good like fight scenes and stuff, it doesn't really have the same impact the same way. So what I think is happening is even though it's a decent, like a good to decent movie, it is not nearly on the same level as the first one. So if you compare them directly, which you can't not because they're like one's a
direct
sequel.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to be like it's good because the other one is so good that this one's just like, eh. But if you're willing to kind of give that a pass and understand that it's not going to be as great as the first one, it's still a good movie and it's still worth the time. I would probably say like matinee or like rent it first to see if you like it down the line, because you might end up being disappointed with it, because the first one was so good that this one just does not follow it up.
Right.
But I don't know. It looks like it kind of paves the way for maybe more, which is either good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
Not definitively so, because the first like kind of few scenes in the movie changes the landscape of it a lot.
Right.
So like some of the first events in the movie like really change what's going on.
Yeah.
Compared to the end of the first movie. So I don't know. Like I guess, well, I probably shouldn't spoil it. It did just come out, but so yeah.
We try
although
to avoid spoiling things that came out 10 years ago.
Yeah, but it like even if it's kind of a minor point, I sort of don't want to go into it because it is sort of surprising.
Darth Vader was Luke's father. He was Anakin Skywalker the whole time.
Roy Batty dies
I don't even know who that is.
from Blade Runner.
I've never seen Blade Runner.
What the fuck?
Yes, you have. First of all,
What the fuck?
What?
We watched it together. I know that you've seen it.
Not
You
me.
probably just don't remember it. We have watched it together. I know for a
When
fact.
did we do that?
We watched it with Thel.
Are you thinking of
What?
The Fifth Element?
We watched. Well,
I don't think
we
you
also
watched
watched
it
The
with me.
Fifth Element. I
know
definitely
if I
remember
watched-
watching it with you, Thel, for sure. And
Huh.
and Dalsson was also there. It's. I remember clearly because it was the first time I had seen Blade Runner in like 10 years.
Huh.
So, anyway, maybe we should rewatch it because the new one looks like
Is
it's gonna
coming
be
out
fucking
next
good.
year. Yeah, well, yeah, and also Denis Villeneuve, who's I've loved all of his movies. All of them.
know,
Next
All of
month?
them.
I think you said next year. I think it comes out
Oh,
next
excuse
month.
me, did I say next year?
Yeah.
Technically, it comes out next month, and by
Okay.
which I mean next week.
Right. The 8th.
Yeah,
everything's coming out in October. I love the month of Halloween.
me too. I love it too. It's my
This-
favorite month.
You know what?
I'm hype.
So this week I chose between the Lego Movie and Kingsman 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up
Lego.
seeing Kingsman
Lego.
2 because both of them have like a 50.
Wait,
on
is there
Rotten
another
Tomatoes.
Lego movie?
Yeah,
It's the Lego Ninjago movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
I
it's
think you made the right choice, Saine.
no. I mean, I'm still interested in seeing it, and it looks fun enough.
That's
It
true.
does have a
Lego
higher
Super
Rotten
movie.
Tomato score by 1%
Eh. Either way, like I was more interested in seeing Kingsman this week. I think I just felt like seeing an action movie more.
Mhm.
So like an
Well,
action movie, not
Well, I was gonna say Ninjago
Yeah.
should be an action movie. All the ninjas will be there and they'll spin around and pretend they're Beyblades.
and
Yeah.
they'll come apart in pieces and be put back together because they're Legos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like that's still more comedic. I mean, even though Kingsman is pretty comedic, but I don't know. I didn't come out of the movie feeling disappointed like I have for some sequels, but it definitely did not live up to the first one. So take that with what. Unfortunately, I don't have that much more to say about Kingsman. So why don't we get going into games? Do you want to talk? Do you two want to talk about Nier Automata before we go into Guild Wars?
I don't really feel like there's like for me, I feel like there's not exactly much more I can say about it.
Well, Dalsson says briefly, so we'll.
All right, I'll let Dalsson. Yeah.
I've gotten a little further in 9S's story, which obviously the story I don't want to spoil, but like
Near a tomato.
Near Automato. I mean,
near a tomato.
I say I don't want to spoil it, but literally if you just go watch my VOD from like less than an hour ago, you'll get spoiled anyway. But the point is, like,
some people like watching video games.
I really like how 9S kind of expands on the shit that was happening when you were playing 2B.
Yeah.
But it's weird because like there are points in the game that I like remember I was like, okay, I remember coming by here as 2B. And then 2B and 9S will have a completely different conversation. Like at one point 9S just asked a question to 2B that he definitely did not ask in the first playthrough, like at all. And it was like at a very specific point in the story. So it's not like it was an optional mission that I just missed. It was like in one of the main story missions that I'm just playing over again, basically.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't run into any of those. How far have you gotten?
I'm going towards the Forest Kingdom now. It was
I just finished the Forest Kingdom. Really?
Yeah. I'll just say this one. It's pretty minor. 9S's nickname that people call him when they're friends with him is Nines.
Yeah.
And at one point, like, he asked 2B to call him that, and 2B's like, no. And
really?
Yeah. And
yeah,
so he's like,
that was definitely.
So he's like, yeah. But then later on, he's like, hey 2B, when do you think you'll be ready to call me Nines?
Yeah,
and
that one.
They had a conversation about that. I completely missed that one in the first playthrough, I guess.
Yeah, because I mean, like the reason that he does say that is because there's a little bit like that goes a little bit farther in the like in
I do remember that
mission. Yeah, and that's why he sort of says that to set it up.
But I don't remember it being in the first playthrough. It was weird. So I guess if you saw it, I must have just missed it the first time then. Yeah. Oh well.
But yeah, and that is one of the things I really do like. Like he says stuff like when you come out of like a certain boss fight, he'll be like, "Oh, boss sure did say a bunch of really weird things." And 2B's like,
"What?
Yeah, don't fucking think. Well, don't. 2B's like, yeah, don't fucking think about it. It's not that important. All right, fuck it. Sure, I guess.
There are some like weird. I don't know if I'm just doing missions in the wrong order or something, right? But like. But, like, there will be points where 9S says stuff that directly contradicts... Oh, here's an easy example. There's a quest where you have to find particular locations in the map, right? And, of course, I've been to this place before, so I'm like, oh, yeah, I recognize that. I'll go there. I was there for the main story, so there's literally no way I could have gotten this mission without having been there before. This side mission without having been there before. And you'll walk up to it, and he'll be like, oh, this place looks familiar. Oh, it must be from the photograph. No, we spent 30 minutes here, like an hour ago. Do you not remember this? It's not from the photograph. It looks familiar because we were just here. It's just weird.
Yeah. But
but that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just game is still good. Things. It's great. Oh, I did a mission that just gave me like a side mission that gave me a bunch of story. All of this story was about, like, it basically was just finding data logs about events from the original Nier game. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. That's about all I have for Nier.
Have you haven't touched any more Tooth and Tail, have you?
No, I haven't.
I've been meaning to try that. I've just been really busy this week. Been doing a lot of other stuff.
I want to try it, but
yeah.
But I want to get through Nier first, because if I put it down for even one play session, I'm never gonna come back to it. That's how I do, which sucks.
So let's talk about how about Guild Wars 2?
Oh, hey.
Boy.
We didn't have anything else to talk about, right?
Not that I know of, no.
Yes, so Guild Wars 2, the new expansion came out, and we have played very little of it.
We're trying to get through the story stuff before we get there.
Yeah, because, so, we kind of, well, I say we, but it's probably my fault. We fell off of Heart of Thorns pretty quickly. We didn't even finish Heart of Thorns at first. Eventually, we went back and finished it. But after we finished that, we pretty much didn't keep up with the new story content at all, which is kind of sad because like replaying a lot of it, it actually is pretty good. Like I'm actually really surprised with how much better this season of Living Story was compared to the previous one.
Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be a lot of like, go here and talk to this person for 5 minutes, go here and talk to this person for 5 minutes, but it was definitely like they added like entire zones with hearts and like they're actually like there was a lot to explore.
Hearts and exploration and stuff.
Even
which
when
was
we
my
got
main problem with Heart of Thorns.
Yeah, even when we got to the Coda zone, well, I mean, I don't know. Even with the Coda zone, like I didn't like it that much at first, but the more I played it, the more I ended up liking it or warming up to it.
Yeah.
Even though I wasted like a bunch of crap on fire that I didn't need. But anyway, yeah. So I'm a little sad we didn't keep up with it, I guess, but I think I needed that break from it to kind of like get interested in it again.
Right.
And I don't think it's that bad that we started when we did because we're able to do a lot of it a lot faster because of the new mounts in the game.
Yeah.
So one of the big features of Guild Wars Path of Fire, actually, why don't I add that to the thing? Path of Fire is mounts. Like that's basically the key feature that they're adding, which could seem divisive because I know that a lot of
extremely concerned about it.
I was too, actually, because a lot I don't know this firsthand, but I heard that there was a lot of issues that happened with World of Warcraft because of mounts.
Flying mounts specifically.
Yeah.
Well, flying mounts and even mounts to some extent. Well, sure, but it meant that there was a lot of like emptier zones. So I wasn't sure how feature dense it was and how much it would affect the previous game. So we haven't played much of the new Crystal Desert content, other than we know that the maps are like really huge. But we haven't really tried much of it, so we can't really speak to that yet. But looking at it from a retroactive standpoint, I don't think it does that much damage to the game like I thought it might.
No, really not. You have to be level 80, which once you're level 80, maybe 1 or 2 characters, especially with 2 characters, you can explore like half the map and reach level 80 and never touch the other half of it. But if you've got 2 characters, you're likely going to go for the other half of the map that you haven't been to. So it's like, once you've got a couple characters at level 80, it's just kind of a slog to go through other shit to get to places that you haven't been before.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have the mount, it's like, yeah, there's waypoints everywhere. That's nice. And you can travel pretty quickly with the waypoints, but if you don't have those waypoints, it's just kind of like, I don't want to run to go get this waypoint. I don't want to have to run to this dungeon that I've never been to that zone for because I leveled over here.
Yeah.
You know?
And yeah, the mounts make, because like the waypoints are just specific points on the map and they put you in this general area and you still have to fucking walk all the way over to wherever. But yeah, and the mounts make that a lot easier. It
also alleviates the fact that before, if you intended to travel somewhere, you basically were required to have every swiftness skill your character had access to in order to...
Maybe not everyone, but at least one. You would want at least one to deal with it.
Because if you even got into combat once, you just slowed down to a crawl if you were trying to go.
There were definitely specific characters that I chose specific skills for because I wanted to have swiftness, or at least, well, yeah. So like on my Mesmer, for instance, I would almost exclusively use the focus because the focus has a big swiftness thing on it.
Right.
And then I also used the teleport when I was not in combat. Like when I was not intending to fight a lot of stuff, I would leave the teleport slotted so that I could jump that 1,200 or whatever feet. Because I didn't want to, like, because it slowly increased my movement speed, technically, right? So, and even though it wasn't the most, it's not like that skill was completely worthless otherwise, but it definitely, like, was more limited than some of my other choices.
Right.
And I always had it slotted because I didn't want to, like, because it helped me get around the map a little bit faster.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
With the new mounts, you have to be out of combat to mount, but once you're mounted, you can just go. And it makes you...
The mount has its own health bar, so if you
great.
get into combat, it doesn't slow down, but if things are killing you hard enough, the mount will die, and then you'll be entered in combat.
And then there are some CC that breaks through the mount,
Right,
especially in the new zones.
Yeah.
I know that especially in the ice zone, they do this thing where they turn you into a block of ice, and that demounts you instantly.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's intentional or not, but it definitely does.
Now, something that I think is interesting about the mounts specifically in this game, mounts are not just like World of Warcraft, channel for a second, and then you get 200% increased move speed, and that's it. That's all it does. No, they have their own abilities. Like, at least the Raptor mount, it can jump long distances, so it can be helpful in jumping puzzles. I'm sure there are parts of the map that you can't access without
So what we have noticed is, in certain places, they tell you that your mount will be disabled if you continue in that area. So I think that they probably have done the work to go through and turn off mounts in very specific areas, probably related to jumping puzzles. So we haven't actually tried it, so we don't know, but I would not be surprised if there were certain areas that were jumping puzzles that were just had mounts turned off.
Or there were areas that were jumping puzzles, like in the new zone, that were just mounts jumping puzzles.
Right.
Yeah.
And especially since in some of the Living World content, there were like gliding puzzles. So I would not be that there's almost certainly mounted puzzles.
Yeah.
So
there's also like 4 different kinds of mounts. I actually looked a little bit into there's a Griffin mount, which allows you to fly. Really, you're just gliding, but every once in a while you can flap and go up higher.
Oh, okay.
Right. So which basically lets you maintain your altitude rather than losing altitude, right?
Yes, basically. But that Griffin mount, for all intents and purposes, is basically the same amount of work as crafting a legendary weapon without the crafting. You have to go literally all over Tyria and collect Griffin eggs and solve riddles and do all kinds of crazy shit. You have to beat...
That actually sounds more fun.
It does.
Yeah. I already have seen people with that mount, though.
Yeah. You have to beat the story of Path of Fire, and then you unlock the collection to unlock the Griffin mount. So you get 3 mounts for the story, and then the Griffin mount is the 4th mount, and it's like a special collection.
And that's crazy then, because I've seen people with the Griffin mount after 2 days.
Yeah.
Like like at the time that I saw it, the expansion had been out literally 2 days.
I think there was
fucking MMOs, my man.
There was an early access, but that didn't contribute.
It didn't carry over.
Yeah, that didn't carry anything over. It was kind of like the previous year where they let you try create a quick Revenant, and then they just deleted it. Like it was the same thing basically.
Okay.
So, man, that's actually pretty surprising.
Yeah. There was like a Delphi guide, and it was like how to unlock the Griffin mount, and I briefly looked at it, and it was like step 1, collect all 7 of these eggs. One is in like Fireheart Rise, and this one's over in a raw dungeon, and like obviously that's not where they were, but like shit like that. So it looks really fun to do, actually.
Yeah, so that's cool. I might actually do that then. Although I haven't even bothered with legendaries. In fact, when I found a precursor as a drop, I sold it for the money.
Well, that's because legendaries are not like a big quest to go on. They're basically just craft a bunch of bullshit.
Oh, they are though.
They are now, yeah.
But
you still have to craft a bunch of bullshit, and it looked like you didn't have to for the Griffin.
Either way. And then, I mean, I did things like I got the Mad King Tome. Which that was kind of an involved process.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. What else? So the 3 that I know of that aren't the Griffin mount, there's the Raptor, like a manta ray that kind of glides up just above the ground, and a kangaroo.
Yeah.
So far all I've tried is the raptor mount, but
I think it's supposed to be a giant jerboa.
Oh, well, it looks like a kangaroo, whatever.
Yeah. It's a marsupial.
Some sort of rat.
Is it? I thought it was a rodent. Rodents and
jerboa is
rodents are not the same thing as marsupial. But I don't know.
Marsupials.
Either way. So one kind of interesting thing is, in addition to, like, it isn't just a move speed buff, like Dalsson was saying, it actually changes how the character moves. Like, you have a turning radius.
Yeah.
Like,
I noticed
a minimum turning radius.
When we were sitting in the Crystal Desert town trying to figure out what to do next, I noticed you two just like running in a big circle on your raptors.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was like, what are you two idiots doing?
You know what we're doing, bitch. Video game.
Doing video game.
So, I mean, that's cool. It's not just like, I don't know. I like it.
It's neat. I really like it.
Agreed.
A lot more than I thought I would, because
same, yeah.
Because I thought that it would just kind of ruin the experience of playing, but I realized that now, me as a player, I don't like want to go through, because when I first played Guild Wars, it was an incredible experience, you know, like leveling up, exploring everything, but I don't want to explore those same zones on foot again, because I already know what they are. Like, I'm not going to stop to fight every single little enemy because he's like,
yeah,
biting my ass.
For instance, on my Guardian, I do not have all of like Dredge Haunt Cliffs explored. And I have completed that map on another character. I just haven't gone back to like actually complete it on that character. It's really nice to be able to just get on a raptor and just go across the map real fast. So I don't know, like, and I guess you do have to get to 80 before you can unlock it, and then do the first step of the story. So like, it's not like it'll really affect early level stuff, especially since I don't know if they changed it again, but they kind of fucked up early level stuff anyway.
They did.
So, like, it's you don't even unlock your downed skills until you're like level 15 or something stupid. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
It's because they don't expect you to ever die until you're level 15. They made all of the starter zones involve no CC, involve no dodging. Like, basically, level 1 to 15, you don't even have to learn to play the game, which is bad.
Yeah, I don't know
why they made that decision, but they did.
Well, they probably made that decision so that they didn't turn off more traditional MMO players. That's the only real like way I can think of it.
Yeah,
you know.
And the thing is, like, I remember when I first started playing the game. I played it like when it came out. You guys started in the beta. Like in my first story quest, I got on and like it was already teaching me how to play the game, all the dodging and all of the general how the game was supposed to be played. And now it's all like it's almost like it's trying to teach people to do the thing that the Guild Wars devs hate more than fucking anything in the world. You know, just stand there and press the 1 key after you get this bitch in a fucking hole.
You have to get to level 3 to unlock your 2 ability.
So, what? Well, I mean, at the same time, the way that it worked before was almost worse because you had to like individually unlock every weapon skill. Yeah. So you had to, like, in order to unlock all the weapon skills, you had to use a lot of weapons.
Yeah.
Which like, I mean, in fairness, that teaches you more about individual weapons, but at the same time, sometimes you just want to throw on a weapon that you don't really know that much about and just go. But
yeah.
But I mean, if you were high level, you would unlock like 2 or 3 skills at a time from 1 kill. Maybe.
But that's still annoying though.
Yeah.
Like starting a new character and being like, I already know what my 2 does. I wish I could just use it. Like, yeah. I don't know.
I know what you're saying. I get it. I agree with you.
So like, but I think they have done a better job with Heart of Thorns, and this is just speaking from Heart of Thorns. No.
Oh, okay.
Heart of Thorns and the Living World content. They have done a better job of kind of developing around what players kind of try to do by default.
Mhm.
They've done a better job saying, like, if you stand in one place and do nothing but push 1, you're straight up gonna die.
To die.
Like,
Yeah.
period. Like, if you do not move out of this zone, or do something, or dodge roll, or Aegis, or something, you're going to die. Like,
rather than before, it was like, if you don't move out of this zone, you're gonna take, like, half your health bar and damage. But it doesn't matter, because there's 5 people spamming healing abilities right on top of you, so you're back at full health anyway.
Right.
No.
And
instead, it's, we're killing you.
And we're gonna dump 20 conditions on you, so even if you're, like, a condition healing guardian, you're still gonna die.
Yeah.
And actually, that's what I love the most about Guild Wars 2. It's probably the most difficult MMO at high level, like, compared to basically all of them.
Really strange.
That I've played.
Because, like, all other MMOs focus on is end-game raiding content. Whereas Guild Wars kind of focuses on the entire game experience, or at least it did when it came out. Now, obviously, they're just developing for in-game because their player base is pretty set, and they already have a lot of stuff to level with.
Well, and kind of the funny thing, if you look back at Guild Wars 1, do you know what Guild Wars 1's level cap was?
20.
20. So, like, basically level 1 to 20 was the tutorial in Guild Wars 1. And that wasn't the complete story. Most of the story that you played, you were max level, so...
Yeah, just like Guild Wars 2 now.
Well, even then, like, I would not say... There's probably almost as much endgame content as there was new game content, like original content.
What I do like
about I wouldn't say that's on the same level as how old Guild Wars was.
What I do like about Guild Wars that I just realized, like when you said that, is the whole story leads into everything is connected, right? Like, like now we're working with Marjorie and Kashmir, for example. Kashmir was like, what was she, a fucking like politician in Lion's Arch through the whole game? And Marjorie Delacroix you worked with in your original story because she was a Private Eye.
No, neither of those were in the story.
Really?
Both of those characters were added in Scarlet's War.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
all of the Destiny's Edge 2.0 characters, all of them were added.
Watch.
Yeah, Dragon Watch or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, Brahm's not even technically Dragon Watch at the point that we're at. But all of those characters were added in the first season of Living World. So with the exception of like Trey Hearn.
I thought that Kashmir was always a politician, and
she was a count.
Kashmir was in the Order of Whispers, wasn't she?
No. She was so she's a noble, but they talk about that after you meet her in Living World. Like,
wait,
she's
wasn't
not...
Kashmir like fucking Codicus's niece or some bullshit?
No, that's a different character. I remember what you're talking about. We were going back and doing your story, and we thought that was Kashmir, but then we realized it wasn't her.
Yeah, no. Kashmir and Marjorie and Rox and Braum, they were all added in Living World.
Okay.
Yeah. Marjorie, and
which is weird because they like Air Stagalkin is throughout season, like the original story, and you don't even hear of Braum until Living World, which at the time we thought was weird.
Yeah.
Nah, she fucking hates that.
No. But yeah, the like, because he like.
I mean, in context, it makes more sense, but
yeah.
But
it's kind of like how Spock had an illegitimate child that is like a half sister or something.
Through the entire game, like after the Living World starts, they always call you Commander, which obviously is just for ease, so that the voice actors don't have to record a bunch of names or whatever.
Well, they literally couldn't.
Yeah, they couldn't.
And they wouldn't say weird things like Morgan Freeman as a name. Like,
Slutzini the Clown.
So of course, giving some kind of title makes more sense, and it means that
they call you Commander because you are the Pact Commander, and that was in the original story.
It means that in the future, like far future, say they come out with Guild Wars 3, They can actually have lore referring to the commander. They can't be specific about race and class and stuff, but they can talk about the commander. Whereas in Guild Wars 1 with the Flameseeker prophecies, they don't even talk about any of the main character, like the main character. They only talk about the companions.
Well, from what you've told me, Guild Wars 1 was more about the stories, like you were just there for big characters plot lines.
Yeah. Straight up. Like,
Whereas
this one,
in this
definitely
one,
the commander is a character that you can, like, sure, it could be one of 5 different people, but there is one character, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And then there's, like, branching paths with the original story. There's all kinds of paths that you could play, which makes it kind of complicated in places. But it basically means you have to play, like,
they all kind of lead to
over and over again in order to be able to play all of it. But which I remember was Wooden Potato's issue with it, because he did a like completionist let's play of Guild Wars 2, so he played every character's path and deleted like tons and tons of characters doing it.
Jesus. How does he have time for that shit?
Well, that's like all he did. So yeah, his main. I mean, he's a YouTuber where his main thing was Guild Wars 2 content. So,
yeah.
Right.
One thing that I kind of think that's interesting about Path of Fire. So, going through the game, especially when it started getting to the Living World story, like season 1 content, and then eventually Heart of Thorns. One of the things they started doing is adding less and less waypoints, because I think that after the game was out, they kind of learned that it kind of reduced the amount of time you spent playing because you just zip back and forth the map constantly. So what I think they've done is they've definitely like decreased the number of waypoints they put in a map by a large magnitude.
Yeah.
Which I like, because it forces you to explore more. But also, it like kind of an interesting thing with Path of Fire is it means that they have to, from this point forward, develop every zone with the idea in mind that you will likely have a mount. Now, you won't necessarily have a mount, because if you don't have Heart of Thorns, for instance, you can't glide, right?
Yeah.
And you can't use bouncing mushrooms, and you can't use air vents. And I hear that some of that is in the Crystal Desert stuff too in Path of Fire, but for the most part, that area is designed for mounts. So they have to at least keep in mind that someone could be going through any future content with a mount, and with a high likelihood that they will too.
Right.
So that may mean they're gonna expand the map faster now, because they have to add larger zones. Or they will find some way to restrict mounts the same way World of Warcraft did with Legends of Draenor, right?
Well, in pretty much every WoW expansion, they release it, you cannot fly. And then 3 or 4 patches later, they release a legendary achievement where you have to do all kinds of crazy shit, and then you can unlock flying in those zones.
Yeah,
right.
But that's like months later.
Yeah. But I mean, so they could do something similar with Guild Wars 2, with normal mounts. But like
back
I don't know. Those are kind of the 2 options. You know what I mean?
Back when I fucking quit WoW, what it was just like, all right, you can fly automatically, but you got to go to this person and pay 12 quintillion gold.
Yeah. But for specific zones like the new WoW expansions, Mists of Pandaria, you couldn't fly until the next expansion came out in Mists of Pandaria.
Really?
Yeah. In Warlords of Draenor, you couldn't fly until Legion was almost out, and then you had to do a like achievement quest to unlock flying. And then
weren't there only a year or 2 between Draenor and
then I think there was like 2 years.
Whatever the new one's called.
Legion.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I said 1 or 2 years. Yeah, I think it was.
Legion, you're able to fly now, but you still have to do like a big achievement for it. So it's
yeah. So I could see them doing something similar. Like maybe you Or maybe even like a mastery, right? Like you complete a mastery track, and it's like you can use mounts in this zone now for whatever.
Yeah.
Weird pretend reason.
Exactly.
So I don't know. So we've been going for about an hour. Why don't we take a break?
Sounds good.
And then I guess we'll try to stretch the news as far as possible.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
What time do you want to come back?
You can come back at 5:25, 5:23 or whatever, 15 minutes. So I need to take care of a couple things.
5:23. Okay.
But shit, I can probably make a new cup of coffee. New pot of coffee. Ooh.
So 5:20. Wait. How about 5:20?
Sounds good.
That's 12 minutes.
Okay.
All right. I'll see you guys in a little bit.
Stay beautiful.
Hi, and welcome back to the Graveyardmedia podcast for our second hour. This hour we're going to talk about movies and gaming news. What do you want to start with? I know we don't have very much of either.
Let's start with gaming just because I think we have less.
Gaming news. Really not much happened, which is surprising because Tokyo Game Show happened, but nothing happened. So
there is one thing that happened at Tokyo Game Show.
Oh boy. Let's go. Let's talk about that in particular.
So, Sega is teaming up with
another...
Oh, really? That's what we're leading with.
Yeah. I mean, what else are we going to lead on?
Show?
I mean, it was a good segue into it, let's be honest.
Sega...
What's it called? Sonic
Forces. Yeah, Sonic Forces.
Sonic 4?
With Sonic Forces, Sega is teaming up the brand with the popular chain wing restaurant Hooters.
Okay, can we move on now?
Yeah.
Okay. Question though, I want to talk about Hooters outside of this. Is it one of those restaurants that's like dying like Applebee's and Buffalo Wild Wings? Because it feels like it would be.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Millennials are killing Hooters. Probably because boobs are really easy to find on the internet.
Yeah. Millennials are killing restaurants with trash, garbage food.
I actually like Applebee's. Applebee's is not overpriced. It is exactly how much it should cost.
I was talking about Hooters.
Yeah, Hooters and Buffalo Wild Wings, definitely.
Buffalo Wild Wings is definitely incredibly popular, though. Especially with millennials, so that's not one of the ones millennials are killing.
Actually, that's one of the ones that they're, like, specifically saying that millennials are killing. Buffalo Wild Wings has been having trouble.
That's weird, because everywhere here, like, it's constantly packed. They're always full. Like, that's why I don't like going to Buffalo Wild Wings, is because it's constantly packed full of people, so I don't know what they're fucking up, but...
Weird.
Yeah, I'm always...
And it might be just because it's, like, part sports bar? I don't know. I feel like that's...
You know what it probably is? They're probably opening too many locations, so it's probably just bad business practices, and it has nothing to do with millennials.
Yeah.
But people want to blame millennials because they're easy to blame. Because let's be real, nobody likes millennials. Not even millennials.
Yeah.
Damn millennials, they ruined the millennium!
Okay, so the other thing... Actually, pretty much all of our news this week is from Tokyo Game Show. Except for those two, which we'll wrap back around on.
Okay.
So Square Enix reveals that they basically poached all of Metal Gear's previous developers from Konami and teamed them up with the Armored Core devs to make a new game called Left Alive.
Also, I believe is the... Oh, no, wait. I don't remember if that's just a publisher. FromSoft. That also made Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I don't think it's FromSoft.
Armored Core is definitely tied to FromSoft.
Oh, actually, yeah, you're right. FromSoft is the Armored Core devs, that's right.
I
always forgot.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I always forget because Armored Core is very different from Dark Souls.
Different.
But that being said, it's probably not a Souls-like. In fact, it looks a lot more like Metal Gear.
Good.
Which is not that surprising. It says right now, so former Metal Gear and Xenoblade Chronicles X mech designer is also working on the game.
Ooh.
It's being produced by Final Fantasy producer Shinji Hashimoto. Former Metal Gear character designer Yoji Shinakawa who's currently working on Death Stranding, is also handling character design on Left Alive.
Ooh.
And the game is directed by former Armored Core director Tachifumi Nabashima. So
yeah, hype.
Sounds like a
there is nothing but
lineup.
good stuff. It looks like. So yeah, it's a brand new survival action shooter set in a dark and gritty world. It says. And it takes place in the Front Mission universe, which I'm actually not familiar.
I don't like the word survival.
I don't think it means it in that sense. But it does sound like it will be an open world game.
Okay.
But I don't know. Right now, the details on it are scarce anyway, so.
Right.
I'm glad that those guys are all getting good jobs, because
Konami really fucked them over.
Yeah.
Well, because they're good. Okay, so apparently Front Mission is a game on the SNES.
Interesting.
Oh, actually, the most recent one is Front Mission Evolved in September 2010. So 7 years ago.
I mean, yeah, I'm not super surprised. Japan has been doing like big sequels and going off of things from the NES days for years. I mean,
it just looks like Armored Core
games.
You know what's probably going on here?
What?
It's probably Square Enix is probably like, well, we don't have the rights to Armored Core or the rights to Metal Gear, but we have this old Front Mission franchise that you could do something with. And they're like, okay.
It's pretty much the same thing as both of them. I've never heard of Front Mission, actually, so I don't know.
I mean, I'm looking at a picture of it, and the thing on the cover looks like a Metal Gear, or like, not a Metal Gear, it looks like a Armored Core, so.
Are you saying that those are particularly different?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, because Armored Cores look like animals.
Right.
And, for the most part. And Armored Cores definitely look like people robots. Not quite Gundams, but
Metal Gears look like animals for the most part.
Right, right.
And Armored
That's
Cores,
what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Left Alive, that looks pretty cool. Pretty big cast of cool people on it, so.
Yeah. Nifty.
It looks like the producer is the one who reached out to the devs, maybe. But it's hard to tell.
Nice.
PR. Bullshit, it's hard to tell.
You never know.
Monster Hunter World gets a release date on PS4 and Xbox One. January 26, 2018.
It's PC to follow.
Yes.
Likely in March. That's what we've been hearing, but I think that's all just rumors.
Gotta implement de novo somehow.
Yeah, I gotta implement.
Capcom has announced a series of special editions, pre-order bonuses, and a PS4 Pro special edition. So take that. Take with that what you will.
Maybe if I get a Christmas bonus, I'll just buy the special edition PlayStation 4 and then buy it later on PC.
They have a physical edition that comes with some kind of monster. I don't know the monsters well enough from images. I can't tell you what it is. But
what does it look like? Probably
it looks like a monster. I don't know.
It's either the flagship monster for the game or Rathalos.
It has it has like big wings on its head. Maybe those are horns. I can't tell. It's a very small JPEG.
Link it to me.
Oh, Nergigante?
It must be the new one.
Yeah, it's the monster that's on the front of the cover of the game. So, whatever that means. They're also coming out with a PlayStation 4 Pro version that has like a Monster Hunter decal on it. And a reddish orange controller.
Ooh.
Here, in fact, I'll just
I believe that'll be expensive, probably.
Oh. I'll go ahead and just pop that on the thing real quick, just so you can see.
Real quack.
Real quack.
Real quack.
Calm down, quackers.
So that looks like, in case you're interested. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh.
God, that looks fucking sick.
I forgot to change the discussion for a while. Yeah, I might actually buy PS4 Pro for that.
Oh, but you know what? It's only going to be in Japan, I'm sure.
Not necessarily.
Monster
I wouldn't expect... Monster Hunter's incredibly popular over here. What are you talking about?
They didn't localize the last 4 Monster Hunter games.
Yeah, but that's
which,
because...
to be fair, were all iterations of the same game. But...
I mean, it's not quite as popular. Like, you can't do it the same way Japan is doing it because of business practices.
Right.
In terms of, like, what customers expect. But at the same time, like, Monster Hunter is hugely successful. Like,
it is.
It basically is what sold the
Wii.
handheld.
3DS.
No, not the 3DS.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna start with the PSP.
Oh.
No, it wasn't on the Vita. The PSP. It sold the 3DS and it sold the Wii. Like, I mean, it didn't sell the Wii. The Wii sold itself.
I've followed I followed Monster Hunter for a long ass time, and Capcom did not seem to understand how popular it was over here until just recently. Which I don't know. That they
I mean, they don't release every iteration of Monster Hunter, but that's because a lot of them are those half steps. So, in Japan, you probably could get away with the half steps, and here it would flood the market too much, and they would probably have a lot more diminishing returns. That's kind of what I'm saying.
Right.
Especially since, like, the Western audience is much larger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would have to, like, I don't know. It's different. The Western market is just different than the Eastern market. It's not like they don't bring Monster Hunter over, though. They do.
Yeah.
So. Other than the weird half steps. So
I'm really excited for Monster Hunter Worlds, though. Like, that is... I'm extremely excited for. So. Really
I am also
hyped.
Okay, so moving on.
I might just buy the PS4 Pro version to play with my friends that I've played Monster Hunter with for like 10 years, and the PC version to play it with you guys.
Plus, I couldn't see them not coming out with this kind of special edition for the PlayStation Pro, because for the PlayStation Pro, they need a new special edition. It's not like they have one.
Yeah.
So,
that's true.
Might as well be Monster Hunter, right?
Yeah, exactly. First Monster Hunter game on a Sony console in years.
Since the PS2, not counting the PSP, but
yeah, there was one on the Vita, but then it didn't even get localized. So
right,
yeah.
Yeah. So next we got SAG-AFTRA.
Ah, yes, the voice actor strike.
AFTRA. I can't spell. So the SAG-AFTRA voice actor strike finally concluded. It goes without saying that neither side got exactly what they wanted.
I don't think either side really got anything they wanted.
No, the SAG-AFTRA got... I mean, this is a lot more money than it sounds like compared to what it was before. So, one of the major terms includes a bonus structure that provides additional payment to performers based on how many sessions they were due. So it's a $75 payment for the first and runs up to $2,100 after 10.
Mm-hmm.
And the payment must be delivered no later than the game's release date. In addition to that, Hold on, let me find a spot where it's... so there's a thing where they get more information about the stuff that they're doing. I can... God, I cannot find the stupid specific thing I'm looking for. Anyway, so they... Before, video game actors really got no information about it. So now they know whether they're reprising a role. They know basic stuff like genre. But a lot of it still is, like, not quite told. Oh, here it is. Okay. Members are told prior to signing onto a project that they'll be required to use terminology, profanity, racial slurs, whether or not the content of the will be of a sexual or violent nature, and whether stunts will be required. They will be disclosed genre, the code name, whether or not it's based on an existing franchise. The reason why they don't want to tell that is because that's how movies get leaked.
Yeah.
And video games can sometimes take about as long or longer than movies. So it's in the video game's best interest not to have that information floating around. But voice actors want to know that stuff. Even if it's basic stuff. And whether or not they reprise a role will definitely be like, I don't know.
Relevant.
Yeah, it'll tell them something, right?
I feel like
it might not mean much to like Nolan North, but because he's done so many different franchises. But
role, yeah, I figured.
Well, if you had to choose one main role for Nolan North, it's probably Nathan Drake.
Yeah.
After that, it might be like Desmond Miles from Assassin's Creed. What else was he in? I mean, what other big things were he in?
Everything.
Well, no, he's done a lot of like small things. Like the main character in a lot of smaller games, but I don't think there's many games really where he played the main character.
A little bit more, but from what I was hearing through most of this, the biggest concerns of the voice actors themselves, not the union, but the voice actors personally, was the health of their voice. And there is like basically one throwaway agreement about that. We'll talk about it more. Well, and the voice actor's like, okay, yeah, sure.
No, this thing was never really about that. This was always about money. Period.
But all of the voice actors said it wasn't.
Well, it was like, that was one aspect to it that the voice actors really wanted, because it directed them a lot personally. Because it doesn't look good if the voice actors say, yeah, this is about money, I want to be paid more money. And even a lot of voice actors that were kind of on the fence about it, like, for instance, Nolan North. He's technically a SAG-AFTRA employee, or I don't even, a union member.
Yeah, but if he didn't strike with the rest of them, he wouldn't be. So, like, even if he didn't...
I mean, not necessarily, because SAG-AFTRA is, like, kind of crazy with how they do things anyway. But the thing is, like, so he was kind of lukewarm on it the whole time, and he was, like, basically saying that he didn't agree with the money aspect of it. Not in, like, very precise words, but he was saying, like, I understand the reasoning that they wouldn't pay residuals to voice actors when there are so many video games are made by so many people that it's not like you can sell the whole thing on a voice actor the same way you can a movie.
Right.
So he was but he was like, but yeah, it would be nice to know when you're screaming and how much you need to scream and, like, stuff like that. So there is some stuff about that in here, but yeah, that I don't think that's ever been the main focus. That might have been one of the major concerns for voice actors themselves, but a lot of it is just really about money.
Yeah.
Like it or not. And it's not...
I mean, like...
And to be fair, like, voice actors do deserve...
Isn't that kind of the...
good amount of money for what they do, but, like, it's
Yeah.
It's not like residuals really make sense in the context of video games when only 25% of all video games use SAG-AFTRA employees anyway.
Yeah.
Union members anyway. So it's like, and a lot of video games straight up don't have voice actors.
Like you said, what Nolan North was saying, you can't sell a game based on, like, Bethesda sure does goddamn try. Oblivion has Patrick Stewart. You need to buy this game because Patrick Stewart is in Oblivion, but that's not.
I feel like people haven't really tried to sell. I don't think even Bethesda's really tried to sell games on their principal voice actor since Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Because
Liam Neeson in Fallout 3.
Well, no, because like they might use him in the game and have some marketing with him doing, a voice in the marketing and stuff. But it's not nearly to the same level. It's like, oh, we have Liam Neeson for Fallout 4. I didn't know that. So, like...
It's not like... Fallout 3 was Liam Neeson. But,
yeah, well,
but
whatever.
Yeah, it's not like in a movie where it's like, now with this new movie, Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson team up! Like, that's the whole fucking point of the movie.
I don't understand what agents do. Do they just... talk about movies and list actors all day? Anyway,
but yeah, like a video game is sold on basically what the developers and programmers do,
right?
More than what the voice actors.
Maybe the story maybe you could argue. Maybe you could argue the story has like could sell up to like 40% of players or something. Purely on the strength of the story alone. Like that still doesn't include voice actors necessarily. So like,
like I feel like that's something that should be negotiated in a contract and not as a like a given thing,
Right. Because at a certain point, like, although I think the one point that they're not going to budge on is going to be residuals. I don't think any video game companies want to ever pay residuals.
No.
And it kind of makes sense in context of video games for them not to. So it's, I don't know. Like,
I think that the bonuses is nice though.
That's a good compromise, yeah.
More recording sessions does mean more, like more and more strain and stress as it goes on. So.
Well, not necessarily. That I think that is still a separate issue. I think that what they're saying is, you get a bonus if you are a actor that does like one part, right? But if you're so involved in the story, like someone like Nolan North, for instance, so involved in the story that you have to come in and record like, I don't know, 9 hours a day for like 2 weeks. At a certain point, you should get a larger bonus, right? Because it requires more of a commitment than one might expect from other voice acting projects. So I don't know.
Right.
Like
that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad that they came to this compromise and it wasn't too disruptive. Even though this was SAG-AFTRA's longest strike ever, it wasn't that disruptive to many games. Because a lot of the games take so long to produce. No, there is a list of games that were affected by the SAG-AFTRA strike, but none of them are so close to completion that they got pushed back. Really,
I see.
So there are some that might have shifted dates a little bit, but most of it is still coming out on schedule. And the games that we're talking about are 2 years ago. Or
you just have to do.
Well, the games that are coming out now were like at the point that they were dealing with the voice actors was like 2 years ago. So the ones that we were talking about now are 2 years in the future or something. So a lot of these just kind of aren't affected much.
They aren't even out yet if they were affected.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I don't think there might have been like a few games that were affected directly and were pushed back, but I can't really think of any off the top of my head, so I don't know. So that's interesting. The next thing is Super Mario 64 Online, which is a mod.
Which is the most ridiculous group of words you can put in a sentence.
Super Mario Online. Oh no, 64 Online. Yeah, it was a fan project mod based on Super Mario 64, as it says. And recently, Nintendo hit the mod's lead developer with a copyright or a DMCA. So they pulled it down. In the past, the person said he would develop until he got a DMCA, and then he would work on it in secret. So I don't think he actually intends to stop, but it might.
No, you can still download the project from like a forum. You just have to sign up for it. It's some like fucking.
No, I'm sure you can still get to it, and like even if he no longer made it available, it's already on torrent sites, so it doesn't matter. Like from his perspective, if I don't know, from Nintendo's perspective, maybe the damage is already done. So you can't put the toothpaste back in that tube.
But like, what damage? What damage is done? There is nobody in the world who is not going to buy Super Mario 64 for their Nintendo 64 system today.
Actually,
because there's a mod out.
I can answer that question though. It actually probably has less to do with copyright and more to do with trademark, because the thing is, Nintendo has to viciously protect its trademarks, otherwise it loses them.
They lose it.
They go into a public domain if it gets diluted enough that they can't own the right. It's part of the reason why Xerox printers do not want to call copies of a paper a Xerox copy. It is not a Xerox copy, it is a copy. Because if you say this is a Xerox,
it's made with a Xerox copy.
Yeah, well, no, at all. They don't want it to say it at all, because when you start calling copies Xeroxes, then it dilutes the brand name that they're working on. Same thing for Kleenex. They don't want to use a tissue. They want you to use Kleenex tissues, not Kleenexes, because if it gets so diluted, other companies can start calling their products Kleenexes. In this context, if they allow someone else to call something Super Mario 64 Online, not only do they have to deal with that if they ever do come out with a Mario 64 Online, or even a Super Mario Online, right? If they ever decide to go along with that, then they already have like a trademark and copyright issue. Like if it gets diluted where enough people are like making what are essentially clones that are branded with Mario on it, then eventually you can make the argument that Mario is a public domain character. They don't even want to go down that road. But what really probably like sparked this was from Nintendo's perspective. Well, in addition to the press of it kind of being functional now, right? The lead mod developer has a Patreon. Now, while it's not... Now, the kind of the weird thing about this, though, is the Patreon is not really labeled that he has put money into my Patreon so that I can develop this mod. It's actually like a Patreon for him to make his own games. So that's kind of where it gets weird, right?
Yeah.
Because people kind of in his communities were sort of saying, like, if you want to support this mod developer, donate to his Patreon. But in reality, what was like on the Patreon wasn't really about Super Mario 64 Online, other than maybe it said like this from the developer of the guy who did this mod. Like, but his actual thing was like, help me make video games. So it's kind of a weird thing, unfortunately, because
see, that's kind of like a lot of bullshit, though, because like
right now it would be different if it was like sanctioned, like a mod sanctioned game. Like I know that there's one developer who used to work on SimCity, who started making a bunch of mods for City Skylines. And he funds that through his Patreon. So,
but City Skylines is like, yes, we want you to mod.
Yeah, but City Sky. Well, no, they didn't say directly to him, but they have mod support built into the game. So someone can make mods, right?
Yeah.
The same thing for Bethesda, it's not as weird, and like oh, what's that other game? I don't know. There was another one, but so games that have built-in mod support. XCOM. That's what I was thinking of. The games that have built-in mod support and stuff. It makes sense that like they have Patreons for that, but because this is kind of a weird or gray area where it's an unofficial mod for a property that they don't want to be diluted because of how it's branded, right?
Right.
It kind of is a little bit more problematic. And
but
also disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer. This is my interpretation of what's going on. I can't give you legal advice, so don't take anything I said as legal advice. But yeah, like I think that's what the issue is.
But if his Patreon is not set up to fund him modding games that are not moddable, I'd say it's pretty bullshit that Nintendo says you're not allowed to make money anymore. Period. With your profession that you want to do, you can't do it. Because you made one mod for our game that was not funded, you did it in your free time, you can't make money now? Like, what is that? Like, that would be like the people who just sued Nintendo saying, so you stole our whatever the fuck, our patent for your Wii controller, so we don't want you to sell the Nintendo Switch anymore. So you can't do it. Like, it's two totally different, like, ballparks of what they're doing. Nintendo just paid them a bunch of damages, but like, say they had said you're not allowed to produce Wiis anymore.
Oh, well, actually, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not quite right on that because it does say that the Patreon was called Super Mario 64 Hacks, but so maybe I was not.
Okay,
quite.
In that case, that's different.
Yeah. But I don't know.
If the Patreon was called Super
Mario so Hacks, then maybe that was my bad. Maybe that was I guess I just might have misinterpreted that a little bit, but yeah.
You missed a big
so maybe that's kind of a big
thing.
The
Patreon was actually called Super Mario 64 Hacks.
Oh,
I was sitting here getting all pissy that Nintendo was like, yeah, you're not allowed to make money in your independent projects because you made a mod of our game in your.
So I think that the thing is, he probably did. I think he did have independent stuff too, but but probably the name looks pretty bad, and the way he was kind of branding it looked bad.
Yeah.
That's more. That's much more understandable.
Yeah. Gotta protect that IP.
Yeah.
It'd be a shame if everyone wasn't like Disney and
Also, the guy does not live in a country that supports the Nintendo Creator Program, so all of his YouTube videos were taken down too.
That sucks.
And he was not given the option to like become a YouTube or a Nintendo Creator thing.
Okay.
Which don't even know that they would like accept him, but so I think that's all of the that's all the gaming news.
All right. It's time.
What?
Go on.
What?
Yeah, why don't you? Okay, so Thel, why don't you?
Wait! There is one more. I
no.
posted this earlier. Like way earlier.
Okay.
The developers of PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, Epic Games, are
I heard about this.
Planning to seek legal action against the game Fortnite for stealing the idea of the Battle Royale genre from them, which right off the bat, I'm going to say that is total bullshit. PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds was inspired by H1Z1 King of the Kill, which is literally the same thing.
Yeah.
And before that, it was inspired by DayZ, which is not like a timed battle royale, but it's still the same concept.
To be fair, H1Z1 King of the Kill was also developed by the guy who made PUBG.
Oh, really?
Yeah, PlayerUnknown.
PlayerUnknown actually did both of them. But
okay.
So, but actually, it's not. He's not like suing him. He's just mad at him, right?
He's mad at him. But he said, like if you read the article, it says that he plans to take further action. I don't know if he can. Like, can you really own a genre?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Like, I don't think so. Like, I think that I mean, because you can't copyright or trademark a set of design principles,
right?
And that's all video games are.
And besides,
so
that,
if it doesn't
Fortnite
use any of the same code, if it doesn't use any of the same code, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But well, it doesn't matter how different it is. It could be a literal clone, and you couldn't do it because it's the way that patents work. Like, the closest thing you could do is patent something to that, but you can't even patent like loose ideas like that, or design principles like that. So there's no. I don't think he has any recourse.
Yeah. And
he would have had to patent it ahead of time. So I just think straight up, like, he has no like, there's nothing he can stand on. Yeah. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, so do not take what I'm saying as legal advice. But
then again, neither is PlayerUnknown. So...
yeah, apparently, right?
Yeah.
Although I don't know what country he's from, so maybe it's different where he's at. Like,
I don't know, but it's just so weird that he's mad at Fortnite for stealing an idea from him. Fortnite's totally different. You like build a base and try to survive within that battle royale
thing. Yeah, and it's weird
when he basically stole the idea of battle royale from DayZ, just condensed it into a smaller format. Like,
well,
it's
actually,
so weird.
So it's similar in the sense that it starts with 100 players who drop out of a plane over an island to find weapons and other items to fight, while a damaging circle tightens the playable area over time.
Yeah. Well, all of those,
which is
like...
PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, like, major thing.
Here's the thing. The idea for that was just Battle Royale, the manga, the movie, condensed into a video game.
Well, sure, but...
And that's why
they were the first one to do the video game. But I think what really makes this look bad is that PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is like an insanely popular game. It has it has the highest peak concurrent players recently it got. It's constantly #1 on Twitch. Like, if you're attacking Epic Games Fortnite, I don't care if they're Epic Games, you're still punching down. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you're already on top, don't be a douche about it, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
and it's weird. It's like if John Carmack decided to sue, like, 3D Realms for making Duke Nukem or something. Like,
it's just like... I don't know. It seems gross. I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree. And it's... And you know, I'm not super big. I'm really happy the PlayerUnknown was able to make his own game the way he wanted to. And yeah, Epic is this big company, and it does seem like little guy versus big guy, but it's like little guy's trying to throw a shit fit for no fucking reason. Like, come the fuck on, dude.
Well, no, I mean, it's like little guy is the big guy. And he's picking on the big little guy. I don't know.
Well, the little guy now has a big-ass sword he can wield around, which isn't as big as the big guys.
So it's like Monster Hunter.
What kind of makes
hold on, I'm on board with this lawsuit now. Let's get...
what additionally makes this kind of funny is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is made on Unreal 4 engine, which is Epic Games.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an interesting wrinkle.
What's he gonna do? He'll sue them, and then Epic Games is like, okay, well, you can't use our engine anymore.
I don't think they can
say goodbye
do
to
that.
your game.
I don't think you can do that legally.
Yeah, well.
Although I don't know.
Well, he can't do the thing he's doing legally, probably. So.
Yeah.
He can say I want to sue him all he wants. Whether or not he can actually do that is a different question.
Well, I'm gonna sue you for using my engine.
I don't know. What kind of makes it funny for me is Epic Games is already making a buttload of money off of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, so I don't know why they would make a competitor.
I don't know.
Because, like...
Well, they're not making a competitor. Fortnite is already a game that they're making. It's a wave tower defense type of game. And then they're adding a Battle Royale mode for PvP.
Yeah, but the PvP is like a carbon copy of PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
with their base building mechanics added in, because that's so
well sure, but that's like that's like Player Unknown with a mod. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I'm not really defending Player Unknown's like intention to sue or whatever, but like it is a competitor. Like that, putting that mode in the game is competing with Player Unknown Battlegrounds. So
it's just
what's just kind of weird is like, why would you even bother doing that? Because like they're already making a ton of money off of Player Unknown Battlegrounds, because once you hit a certain threshold, they have to pay a percentage of everything they make to Epic Games. And I think it might only be like 10 or 20% or something. I don't know off the top of my head, but like that's still a ton of money. So
yeah.
Let me tell you about even more money.
I think it's
you
like
can make it more money, even more. That's what I think their thought process is. Is PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds on like a console?
Yes, it's on PS4.
Is Fortnite going to be on Xbox?
I mean, it's Epic Games, so it might be everything.
Oh.
They might just put it on everything.
That's where the money is. That's where the money is. Money's on it. Nobody likes Xbox, but there's a couple dollars to be made on the Xbox.
I think PlayerUnknown is eventually coming to Xbox too, if it's not already.
True.
They said that at E3.
Well, it was coming to Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah.
It looks like it's something like 5% after you like pass the threshold.
Xbox is kind of hard with like.
Yeah, it's 5% after you cross 3,000.
Weird. Xbox is kind of hard to sell shit on too, because of the, like newer games with the update. At least I don't know if they changed their policy on this, but like with updates and stuff, PlayerUnknown updates a lot. I remember a story that Valve used to tell about Team Fortress 2 on the Xbox, and the reason they basically abandoned it on consoles is because Xbox required that you charge money for every update to the game. So even like minor bug fixes and stuff for Team Fortress 2, they would have to like hold it back and push as a big patch. So like the heavy update, for example, or whichever one came first.
They had to the way that it worked was the developers had to pay a price to push the patch. So it didn't make sense to do small micro patches, because each one would cost a lot of money. So it just makes more financial sense to do them all.
I think that what they were saying though was that Microsoft wanted them to charge money for each update as well, because Microsoft made money off of the
well,
DLC.
yeah, they I mean, maybe they wanted them to.
So what they used to do was like in the middle of the fucking night after like the heavy update, like 10 days later or something, they would just make the heavy update free for like an hour or two while Microsoft wasn't watching them or something. And then let a bunch of people download it without announcing it or anything, and then they would like put it back on.
I remember that story, but again,
Microsoft's asleep. Post free updates.
The thing was, I think what it was you didn't have to pay the penalty, like the price to push a patch if it was DLC. So if you put it up as DLC, you had to charge it. You couldn't put up free DLC.
Okay.
So I think
that makes sense.
I think it was like that. But you could do like sales, or promotions or whatever to make it free. So I think that's how they were kind of getting around it. But it definitely soured Valve from ever working with
Microsoft.
Like, well, not necessarily Microsoft, but consoles.
Yeah.
And they tried again later with the PlayStation. I think Portal 2 came out on the PS3.
Yeah, and they did a thing where you could play with your friends on the PlayStation and on PC.
Right, and that was for like, that happened for like 5 minutes or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that, but I think probably the most successful Valve game on the PC or on the consoles was the Left 4 Dead franchise, and that's because a lot of it wasn't structured the same in terms of how they did updates compared to a lot of their other stuff. So
yeah,
it was more big chunks of content rather than lots of smaller pieces of content. So
right.
Yeah.
The DLC model made more sense in that case.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did we talk about how Steam was No, I don't think we did. Steam altering their review bombing thing.
No, we didn't.
Go on.
Did you guys? You guys didn't check this out at all, did you?
I didn't read the article, but I heard a little bit about it.
So, the way that Valve decided that it kind of hurts the players if what happens with the review scores is like suddenly they get crazy negative when it doesn't really reflect the game necessarily. Some of it's protests in the sense, like for instance, recently, the Firewatch developer, I think it's El Santo or something, they did file a copyright claim on PewDiePie because he used the N-word or something, right?
Yeah.
And to a lot of people, that didn't seem like a fair use of the DMCA system because, like, while technically he is using copyrighted content from El Santos or what developers call, like, I don't know. It seemed like targeted in a certain way that didn't seem right. To a lot of people. That's not necessarily saying what I think, but so a lot of times review bombs can be like sort of misleading about the game itself. So, but at the same time, Valve didn't feel comfortable taking away the ability to do this as a form of protest because a lot of time, like, sure, sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with the game, like in this case, but sometimes it does have to do with like them pushing back content or holding content in such a way, or you know, different practices like that. And one of
for instance, Nier Automata, because we've been talking about this a lot, it's mostly positive on Steam, which, I mean, this is a game that would probably be overwhelming positive, and then you scroll down and look at like
all the negative reviews have to do with them not fixing bugs and stuff.
Yeah, well, and also just generally not optimizing it and having to download an unofficial patch when they said that they would optimize it, but they didn't. And you go immediately directly to the comments, and it's nothing but like thumbs down, and it's everyone in the comments like in the actual review saying this is a fucking great game, it's phenomenal, but god damn it, you didn't fucking update your shit you said you would.
Well, the thing is, what's different about that is that's like kind of a build over time, so that's not what would be caught in this. What they're talking about is review bombs where everybody collectively does it all at once. For instance, like when Skyrim, or no, not Skyrim, Fallout 4
Creation Club,
before Creation Club originally did paid mods, because I think that was actually a bigger reaction than Creation Club is even. That was like all at once just went
down,
super
down.
So they don't want
a burning ring of fire.
Yeah, so they don't like, on one hand they want to give people the tools to kind of sort through the information about like what this stuff is, and at the same time they want customers to have the maximum amount of information, but they also want to allow people to protest in this way because as a consumer it's one of your only real options, right?
Get it out, especially if like there's like developers deleting shit off of forums and stuff, which
so what but at the same time, like sometimes like they're deleting stuff that's like racist stuff, so you know, you can't just take away those tools either. But when it comes to what they're doing with this is they're not changing the way that the scores are aggregated or anything, but what they're doing is they're also displaying a histogram that shows over time what people are liking, or like when people like and when people dislike, and it shows it as a bar over time with like blue versus red bars in opposite directions. So you can generally see by looking at the histogram whether or not it is like been traditionally like mostly or like positive or whatever, if there were certain spikes where it went super negative, or if overall the quality went down over time for some reason, or the opposite, or it was started out really bad and went up, like, so they give you right.
There are a bunch of lower down space sims that I've been following that were like, when they were released, absolute trash. Like, for instance,
like all of them.
Oh yeah. What was that game? It was it was like the most recent X game. When it was released, it was fucking garbage. But they basically changed the entire Rebirth.
Elite Dangerous.
Well, yeah.
No, that game was that game was more solid when it came out than most.
Yeah. It was X Rebirth when it came out. Panned by everyone because it basically didn't fucking work. And was, even when it did work, it was kind of trash. And then they completely changed everything about it, and now it's gotten like a lot more positive reviews. But when you look at the thing, because of all of the stuff that came out one before, it's still mostly negative.
So yeah, it doesn't look like this histogram thing is live yet, but they announced that this is what they intended to do.
Okay.
Probably in a very Valve-like way to gauge people's reactions. And I think that this is probably the right move on Valve's part. So
it's a good happy medium, I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty happy with that. I did not change the text at all while we were talking about that, but so that's it. That's cool.
Yeah.
Thel, I want you to start on something movie so I can go grab a drink real fast.
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
So what do you want to start with?
I'm just gonna start with the first thing right here. So Don Hertzfeldt is coming out with a new movie that premiered. I'm excited. You two probably know Don Hertzfeldt just because he was kind of one of the pioneers of like the original old fucking mid-early.
What movie are we talking about? I just want to put something in the text. What?
Oh, World of Tomorrow 2.
Okay. I'll be right back.
Yeah. All right. So Don Hertzfeldt has been, you guys probably know him because he was a pioneer in the fucking early 2000s, real, like, random core videos, the early Flash stuff. He was the guy who did Rejected, which is like, I was hired by all of these companies to make these commercials, and these were all the ones that were rejected. You know, it's the My Anus is Bleeding meme. And since then, we've seen a lot of people from that era come and do a bunch of stuff. Like we have Justin Roiland, who did fucking House of Cosby's doing Rick and Morty and shit. He has gone on to make some incredible animated films, using the same techniques that he did last time with fucking Rejected. He has continued to do a bunch of really good stuff, and World of Tomorrow was a short film that came out in 2015 and was on everyone's top list of best damn animated thing forever. Didn't win the Oscar, of course, couldn't have, but it was praised by everyone who did see it.
I haven't seen it.
The newest one, he's actually doing a sequel to it, which I am incredibly excited for. I had no idea about this until I just heard about it like 3 seconds ago before we started this podcast. So, if you haven't seen World of Tomorrow, it's like 15 minutes. Go and watch.
My Skype just crashed. I really hope that I can get it back running. Don't change the overlay. I'll come back.
Well, your video is still there. So.
Yeah.
For now.
But yeah.
That's strange.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Okay.
And now you mute yourself, Dalsson.
Okay. There we go.
Okay. Anyway. But yeah. World of Tomorrow 2, I am very excited for it. I support Don Hertzfeldt as much as you can. He's one of the big names in animation now. He's doing some good shit. I want this man to get on a fucking
Your video's still frozen. Can you turn off your camera and turn it back on?
Yes. Did it go off?
Did not.
Is it back on?
No.
Why don't you leave the call and come back real quick?
I closed out Skype and came back.
Weird. Well, it looks like Skype fails us again. No one's surprised here.
Completely unsurprising. Well,
mute it.
Mute yourself. Mute yourself. Quick.
Also, my overlay's still broken. I need to fix
wonderful
that. I don't...
fucking program.
It's working now, though. I can see. Yeah, Skype is the fucking worst. In other news, Skype is the fucking worst, and everyone hates it.
This is just a fantastic program, and
Discord
I love it.
video soon. We hope.
Discord video soon.
Hopefully, I mean we have it, but it's not gonna work for the podcast.
Yeah.
I think they updated it though. We should check it again.
Yeah.
We'll do that after the podcast.
Okay.
The
next one is Stephen King is going to get 2 new adaptations that are both coming to Netflix. He had a good year this year. He got a bunch of adaptations. He got the Fog series that was apparently pretty good. He got a Dark Tower movie, which was fucking trash, unfortunately. But that's okay because it just fucking destroyed in the box office.
You know, but in Stephen King's defense, he gives directors and writers a lot of control over what they want to do. Yeah, not very controlling over his own work like at all.
Yeah,
and to his strength and his
weakness.
Yeah, so
well, and that's the thing. He's always given like directors the leeway to do whatever he wants because I mean, honestly, he's really big into movies. He's huge into literature, but he also loves movies and shit. He's even directed one of his movies. Shit, what was it? It was the one with the cars. It came out in, like the 90s. I don't remember which one it was, but it was a crazy silly movie that he was himself directed.
I like Mercy. That one's fun.
Yeah, and now he's getting 2 new adaptations. People like Stephen King. Stephen King is popular.
One of them is Netflix, it says?
Yeah, at least one of them is Netflix. I'm pretty sure both of them are.
Yeah. Interesting.
Quick news, Avatar 2 finally began shooting after 200 trillion years of this movie being out.
And nobody cares.
Hooray.
It's been too long, James Cameron. Everyone who thought that your movie sucked at the beginning is everyone now. Congratulations. I actually didn't think Avatar was as bad as everyone made it out to be. It was a response to how popular it
was being contrarian, and I'm speaking as somebody who was being contrarian all the time.
I don't think that's necessarily it. I think that the way that people were talking about it at the time was that it was this amazing movie, and it looked pretty, but it wasn't very it wasn't a classic. Let's just say that.
And from like a visual standpoint, fucking District 9, which came out the exact same year and like a couple months before, looked better. I mean,
well, they were trying to do different things though.
Yeah, true enough, but it worked really well in District 9 and didn't work as well in Avatar.
Well, no, because I do think that Avatar did look really impressive. I don't think that you can really say it didn't look pretty. But really, it was all style and no substance, right? Like, the story wasn't very good. It kind of had major plot holes. The main thing was unobtainium, which that's just a sin by itself.
Yeah, a lot of the major plot holes, and a lot of, like, the fact that one of the people's biggest problems, like, I was huge into the Avatar, like, discussion when it was coming out. I was, like, on both sides jumping between them. One of the biggest things was, there was, like, no ambiguity. It was like the super good guys against the stupid evil bad guys, and in the extended cut, which nobody fucking saw, except me, which I feel like fixes a lot of problems. Specifically this one, it explains, well, you know, the Na'vi did actually fucking straight up attack the people who were trying to mine the unobtainium while we were trying to teach them, and they did it for legitimately no fucking reason, basically.
Either way, like, even with the extended cut, I don't think that it was. I haven't seen the extended cut, I guess. But I don't think that like it was that strong of a movie anyway. Like, it was pretty, but it wasn't a classic. It wasn't a James Cameron classic or whatever.
Yeah.
Even though he like wants to. What?
And he's I've never really seen James Cameron as like an incredible sort of plot man. He's had some pretty good movies that have had some pretty good plots, but like if you look at Terminator and Aliens right next together with each other, they're basically the same fucking movie. It's crazy. They even have like some of the same lines, like to the point where in Aliens, there's a guy.
I think atmosphere matters a lot, and those had different. I think that while they were both sci-fi, they were two different kinds of sci-fi.
Oh, Terminator and Terminator 2. Sorry, I thought no.
Alien. I was like Alien.
No. Aliens and Terminator 2 are very, very similar.
Still though, I mean, my point kind of stands. Like, Terminator 2 and Aliens were kind of totally different in terms of what they were like trying to be, in terms of what they looked like. So while maybe the story plot was similar, like it wasn't. I think the atmosphere makes a big enough difference that.
Maybe.
I don't know, but anyway, getting back to what I was saying, like, I think that Avatar was so immensely popular with, like, kind of just the average moviegoer that...
Well, and not only just the average moviegoer, but, like, rabid fans who were, like, getting lost in the Avatar world and just completely, like people crying when it was over because, like, they couldn't live in, fucking... They couldn't live on Pandora. It was...
I feel like
either way, my point is, it was so popular with general audiences that anybody who kind of like analyzed the movie from a like writing standpoint kind of had major problems with it.
Yeah.
And then so it kind of whiplashed in the opposite direction. So if you didn't like even if you took kind of a neutral position, you looked more negative than everyone else who took an extremely high position. So you kind of ended up in the situation where if you kind of criticized it at all, you'd be labeled a contrarian. And if you like eventually that rabid like average movie going appeal or whatever died down. So all you were really left with were like, because all the actual contrarians would eventually go away too for the same reason. All that you were really left with were the people who actually analyzed it and had like legitimate problems with the movie in the first place. So like in retrospect, I think it's a lot easier to see that Avatar was not that great of a movie and nobody really wants a sequel.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It also was put off a lot by its like incredibly rabid fan base. They were fucking nuts. It's like how people talked about La La Land last year, except it lasted for longer because that movie was in theaters for like a whole fucking year. Like, it was insane.
In that movie's defense, it was a really fucking good movie.
I mean,
I
besides
really loved
that,
La La Land.
Oh yeah, La La Land was great.
We already had a sequel to Avatar. Avatar's about a movie where some big evil conglomerate corporation goes to a planet named Pandora to mine out all the valuable resources. Then, like 10,000 years in the future, a group of 4 people called Vault Hunters go to Pandora in order...
Well, hold up. Actually, Borderlands came out first.
So Avatar was a prequel.
Yeah. Basically.
That was a dumb joke. Yeah, so I don't know, like, I think it's the same. I think, like, when it comes to movies, like, Whiplash is a big thing. Like...
Yeah, Whiplash was fucking huge when it came out.
Shut up, Thel.
But
it's the same thing I was saying earlier with Kingsman, though. Like, Kingsman 2 was not a bad movie, but compared to the first one, it doesn't hold a candle to it. So, like, even though it's an above-average movie, it's not on the same level, so it looks bad by comparison. Yeah, and it's kind of the same thing with Avatar. It's like... Sequel. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to just I'm just sort of basically going to use this one as like a baseline for a general discussion about like this particular movie. One thing, I think we might have talked about it last week because it came out last week and Saine might have even saw it. Mother.
No, I ended up seeing it instead, unfortunately.
Oh, you ended up seeing it. Yeah, okay. Mother was a really divisive movie. And something that I found out about it, it was a straight-up wide studio release. I actually did not know that. It was a fucking Paramount movie, which...
I knew that, yeah. It was kind of lower budget because it was a horror movie, but...
well, it wasn't really a horror movie. It was branded as a horror movie.
See, that's what's happening. Like, people keep misbranding their shit.
Yeah.
We were just talking about this when we were talking about Orville. Like, if
Yeah,
it looked like a horror movie, if it was not, well, I mean, horror, and was it like a psychological thriller at least?
it was a
was it?
retelling of the Bible through this one woman's like house.
Weird.
What?
Yeah.
That doesn't carry at all.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm almost glad I didn't see it now.
Well, here's the thing. This is the reason that I thought it was sort of a smaller movie was just because like the last movie that Darren Aronofsky released, Noah, was kind of not super big. Not a lot of people liked it. It was hugely criticized by like the church and everything for being just, it was completely wrong. It's not like it says in the Bible at all, and it was like disliked by general audiences just because of the fact that it was a Darren Aronofsky movie, and sometimes they can be really, really divisive. And specifically, I liked it a lot less than I'd liked his previous movies. I have a really weird relationship with this particular director. I have seen like his entire catalog of movies basically on accident, sort of. Like I've like watched all of his movies separately, like not going in thinking, oh, this is a Darren Aronofsky movie. I watched Pi because I thought, oh yeah, Pi. I've heard a bunch of good things about like this movie and it looks really, really interesting. I'm gonna watch it. Oh, okay.
Pi, wait.
Life of Pi or something
Yeah,
else?
are you
With
talking
Pi?
about the Life of Pi?
No.
I don't know. Well, I didn't
I've
know.
never
I was
heard of
seeing.
that
I was
movie.
trying to clarify because I could see someone calling Life of Pi just Pi, so I wanted to know.
Yeah. No. Pi it's a movie about a guy who basically solves the stock market and is hunted down by a bunch of people. It's like an art house thriller, basically. And it was a really interesting movie, and it's my favorite Darren Aronofsky movie. And if you look at the screenshots and stuff, you can see that he's just trying to make Eraserhead. But
man, that's really weird because Mother looked really kind of like it looked like a horror movie that was kind of in a very like stylish package because of like the trailer itself looks kind of arty with how they present the information about the movie. So I'm like really surprised that that's what that is.
Yeah. Like I started off with Pi, and I watched Requiem for a Dream just because that was super popular when it came out. You know, Black Swan, all of these things I watched and then looked back later and like, oh yeah, that's Darren Aronofsky. I know him. He directed these movies. And so yeah, I have this weird where I just accidentally watch his movies. And so I've seen all of his movies. I haven't seen this one. And yeah, it does feel like he's been taking a weird downturn. And it's weird that he's been taking a weird downturn and he's continually getting money from like big studios. It's weird. I thought that he would have gone to like A26 or something for like this.
A24?
A24, yeah, thank you.
A26. Yeah.
And it's just weird.
It's A24, but 3 years in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's pretty.
Yeah.
I just like the description you gave me for Mother just does not sound what it looked like at all. Like now I'm almost more curious to see it just because that sounds so fucking weird.
Yeah, well, that's Darren Aronofsky. He makes the weird movies, and his movies are usually better when the like the metaphor for whatever it's a metaphor is more grounded deeply into the plot. And I feel like what a lot of like the problem a lot of people like the problem general audiences are having with this movie is that it's a Darren Aronofsky movie. But I feel like the problem that a lot of people who aren't general audiences are having with this movie is like specifically Pi and Requiem for a Dream were very much about what they were about. Requiem for a Dream was about, you know, problems with drug abuse, and Pi was about the man trying to survive this stuff. But they were done in a very, very stylish way. You know, you got to Black Swan, and it's more about what the character is thinking, and there's a bunch of stuff.
I actually liked Black Swan a lot.
Yeah, Black Swan was great. Well, and there's like a bunch of the characters like thinking things, and it's, you know, being shown visually, but it's still more about the plot. And as he's moving more towards like the actual things that are on screen and the plot is just a metaphor for this, I feel like that's where he sort of falls off and gets not as
well. I guess no risk, no reward, right?
Fair enough, yeah. And I suppose Noah was very much exactly what it was about. Like, it was pretty straightforward.
But that's a little bit quagmired in politics and religion, and that's kind of what hurt that, probably.
Yeah, but the truth is, like, I watched Noah, and, like, it was pretty good up until they got on the boat, and that was, like, half of the movie, and, you know.
So, I don't know how we did this, but somehow we're running over a little bit.
Berserk? Are you talking about Berserk?
So I don't know how we did this, but we're running over a little bit. Is there anything else that you like really want to talk about that's here? All this looks kind of like
3. Let's just talk about Isle of Dogs.
Okay.
So
I'm looking at this picture here, and the dogs look really fucking Uncanny Valley, and I have no idea, and I don't know what this is about, and it's scaring me.
Like statues or something.
All right. So this is another Wes Anderson stop motion film.
Interesting.
He, after doing Fantastic Mr. Fox, really liked it. Yeah, Wes Anderson.
I'm not that familiar with names.
Okay.
I remember some directors that we talk about, but I can't remember directors the way that you do. So
all right. So Wes Anderson's his most popular movie is probably The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
I recognize it from Fantastic Mr. Fox. So.
Yeah, and also he's hot off the heels of his incredibly successful and incredibly popular The Grand Budapest Hotel, and he's making another one of them stop motion movies. This time it's about a Japanese island of dogs. I'm excited.
The Grand Budapest Hotel won like 3 or 4 Oscars or something, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a very good movie. Wes Anderson.
I haven't seen it. I should probably see that.
Yeah.
Is it also stop motion, or is that one just?
No, that one's
live
well,
action?
It's got like some sort of weird stop motion bits in it, but Wes Anderson just do like that.
Yeah, that one wasn't released at my theater, which is weird because I get a lot of indie films, but
bit of the trailer here, and like, obviously I can't hold everything to the standard that Leica does, all stop motion to the standard that Leica does, but like, the animation in this looks really, really jittery.
I mean, that's like kind of his style, though. Like,
yeah,
it I don't know. I mean, I hate to say like shitty on purpose, but it kind of has this weird like twitchy feeling to it. The same thing was in Fantastic Mr. Fox, and it kind of works for it if you watch it. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like, yes, from a glance, it'll look Uncanny Valley, but like, I think typically his plots are strong enough that you kind of start to look past it.
Truth be told, it doesn't look like bad. It just like, I can definitely like see that it's really claymation kind of deal.
Yeah.
Or
I mean, yeah, like you can say, it's his style, right?
Yeah.
Because just like an artist, like filmmakers have style to them. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing. With Wes Anderson, probably the best way you can describe Wes Anderson is big budget hipster movies. Like, when you think hipster movie, you're probably thinking, if you're thinking of a specific hipster movie, you're probably thinking of a movie that Wes Anderson directed.
I don't know. I don't think Fantastic Mr. Fox was that hipster movie.
All of his movies are, I don't know if you guys are super familiar with this term, but it's thrown around a lot, mumblecore, where all of the characters, they just sort of talk like this. They talk like they're just trying to get like the information out, sitting in a coffee shop trying to stuff out themselves and life and stuff like that. Sometimes you can't really hear them. And it's like this huge sort of genre of stuff, and that's like all Wes Anderson does. And
I think that's still kind of his style.
Oh yeah,
and so I think that, I don't know, wouldn't that...
In fact, I would say he is a pioneer of that style. He makes the best movies in that style. I usually don't like movies in that style, but I do like Wes Anderson.
Mumblecore.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
We should probably stop.
Yeah, all of the dogs' names in the trailer are synonyms for King. Mm-hmm. One of them is straight up named King.
So, last week, we said that Thel was gonna release a spooky game, but we lost all the footage for that. So
yeah, I fucked up and
by
burned all
we,
my
we
house
mean
down.
Thel specifically.
By we mean me. It was entirely my
Thel
fault.
has a removable hard drive named Suicide Beard, the easily bricked. But
Yeah, well, yes, but that was not the
Beard's
problem. It wasn't Suicide Beard's fault this time.
This time.
What I was doing was basically I just fucked up and saved the files to a wrong thing. I was clearing house like for the old video that I was doing. I set up my stuff for like the new video that I was going to make, but unfortunately I saved all of the stuff for the spooky video in the same folder on accident, culled the whole thing, and just deleted everything. And it was like, all right, well, I never exported that spooky video. I should just do that tonight.
Ah, fuck.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, and it was a big whole mess, and unfortunately, it's gone forever. I did try recovering it, but it didn't work. Rest in peace, spooky video.
So that
with
sucks.
the skeletons now. That sucks, and it sucks super bad just because we had some really good jokes.
That was such a fucking dumb.
That was a dumb game.
It was basically a fucking mess, is what it was. That was the only thing I can describe that as. It was a mess.
The monkey, Margaret Thatcher's anal beads, all of these things are going to be lost in the ether of time. Opening the door with the Force, god damn it, we had some good jokes in there.
It's so sad.
Right, you guys are just coming back.
Not only that, but it was a huge fucking waste of my time, and I was tired for the entire rest of the day. I was fucking exhausted.
What do you mean the rest of the day? We did that at like 1 a.m.
The next day, he actually asked, should I just cancel my stream for the next day? Because
we started that at 1 a.m.
1 a.m.
and it lasted 4.
Well, no, oh yeah, and another thing is, first off, another big problem.
Well, you said the rest of the day, not the next day, so you could see.
I was
technically it was still the rest of the day because we did it on the next day because it was like at 1 o'clock.
Whatever. The day changes when you sleep and you know it.
Yeah, agreed. Completely agreed. And it also sucks because we also like even before that I lost all of the footage where we discussed like the game and how it was made and. Just the crazy
and the really fake-looking reviews on it.
Yeah, and like, and we need to do another one where that's like a big thing that we do. It was a trip, and unfortunately, we lost it forever. Rest in peace.
And the fucking maze that disappeared when you viewed it from certain angles.
The point is, go play this game because it's hilarious.
Don't play that game.
Don't fucking play that game.
I don't even remember the name of the game, but you should not play it.
Huntsman, the Orphanage, the Shadow Wars.
Oh, and the fucking
the squeak wall.
We were convinced that the monster teleported itself into a wall for most of the game because it wasn't there
for like 3 fucking hours, and then later on,
it just spawned.
We got to a point where it should have spawned a new one, and it was chasing us around this maze. And we went back to the spot where we were like hearing the noises of the monster, and it was still there. So we're convinced to this day that original monster was still stuck in the wall, and it just spawned a new one. The same monster. It just spawned a new model to chase us around the maze.
And I'm pretty sure that one got
stuck in the wall. That one also.
I don't know. I think the other one just got lost in the fucking labyrinth.
Yeah, like the fucking monster got lost in the maze almost as hard as we did.
Yeah, the point where like I don't. Maybe it was trying to follow me, but. Like, it was, we were in, like, 2 different fucking sides of the maze. Like, I saw him once where he spawned, and that was it. I didn't see him again until we gave the fuck up after finding out what the game expected of us.
So, we're really sad we can't bring you that video, and it is all Thel's fault, and we're not going to play that game again, so...
Yeah, it was kind of a fucking nightmare to play,
even if we did play that game again, it wouldn't be as funny, so...
Yeah. But yeah. Rest in peace, that. We'll bring you a different spooky game sometime.
Yeah, maybe we'll try Layer of Fear next, because that one's supposed to be an actually good game.
Okay.
Yeah. But we'll probably do that in multiple parts, because that one is also a bit longer, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Good idea.
I don't think we have anything else coming up this week, though, that I know of. Maybe we'll try to do another sniper release.
So is your Nier video going to be
this week? Yeah, it should be. Probably.
I don't think we should even like bother finishing Sniper Elite. It's kind of like not even fun to play.
Yeah, I was getting pretty tired of it. Do you want to just put Nier out on Friday?
Nah, I think I should probably wait for Monday.
Okay, that's fine. Because we need to figure something else out then, because we have nothing going up this week at all that we know of. So we'll figure something out.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, thank you for joining us. This has been the Graveyard Media Podcast. We will see you next week.
And stay beautiful, and like, comment, and subscribe.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Like,
I need to get one of those subscriber pillows that they have in a Honey Pop Studio. Okay, see you later.